I'm saying? Yeah. The fanatic. Where we keep it 100, keep it real. That's the only way we know how to be. Talking that sports talk. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of South Carolina. Upstate, A64. Yeah. The FANATTIC. The fanatic where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what.
Welcome into the Fanatic Sports Channel for sports fans by a sports fan, man. It's your boy, Coach I, man. You know I've been bringing these week one previews. This one right here gets it started off for me anyway. It starts on Thursday, September the 1st at 7 o'clock. We got the backyard brawl between West Virginia and the Pitt Panthers, man. And I got my guys in here, man. We got nobody better than JJ to talk Pitt, nobody better than Couz to talk West Virginia. What's going on, JJ?
What's going on, guys? Again, Coach, thanks for having us on. And, we're lucky. We're filming this on Thursday. We're a week away from the backyard brawl. You can't get anything better, man. College football around the corner. This is when everybody, God's Day Sunday, but it might be Saturday too. Saturdays for the boys. For God, I'll tell you what, college football, we're in good shape.
That's right, Couz. How you feeling, man?
Same thing, man. I'm so pumped up about this season, about this game coming up on Thursday night, man. I don't know that I've been this excited for an opener. Well, for me, since 2017, I guess I should say, when we opened the season with Virginia Tech. But,
hey, listen, I don't know, man. That's something about week one. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I will be tuned in to Nebraska Northwestern for week 0. I think Nebraska will be, of course, better than their 3-9 season last year. But week one is when it really gets started. And Thursday, listen, I'm going to have my popcorn ready. My son has swimming. Right after we come from swimming, I'm logged in, dog. I'm like popcorn, waiting for the Twitter wars, everything. So, like, you guys haven't played since 2011. When both of you went separate ways, and Couz, y'all went to the Big 12, and JJ, y'all went to the ACC, man. Like, has there been any talks like in between those years and trying to get this game, like at least like an out of conference game or something?
I mean, yeah, I think the one thing that's really good about the West Virginia Pitt rivalry, the backyard brawl, is that there's mutual mutual respect, but there's also mutual hate too. This is a game where we're locked into 4 years, but then we'll have 1 year off and then another 4-year series after that. That's 9 years down the road. The way I see it is the way college football's going. Who knows? We could be in the same conference in 5 years. When the grant of rights kind of relax a little bit. For the ACC, and I can tell you this has been wanting to. This is a good rivalry. Again, we talk about regional rivalries, bringing thousands of people together for this game. You see the hype on Twitter. You see the hype from College Game Day. You see the hype on the national media. I think this is a game that's been well overdue. But I think just the way the non-conference games go, where you don't want to, completely flush your schedule with, Power 5 opponents. I think this has been a game that's been in the works for a while now. And it's good to have it back. This is a game that should be played every single year. I think on the non-conference schedule, I think, you have that 1 year in between.
Yeah.
For Pitt. I think it had a result because, I know we mixed in Wisconsin in there and Cincinnati. It's almost like we're bringing back the Big East again, But it's this is a game, I think, from the Pitt side, that they wanted to play this game too. And I think because it's just good, this is a great game overall.
As a college football fan, Couz, I know, like JJ said, you don't want to load your out of conference schedule up, but as a fan, man, you got to be wanting to play Pitt for a while.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it just makes it so much more exciting to know we're going into week one against Pitt, not only a Power 5 team, but a rival Power 5 team versus Long Island University or Towson or, you know what I mean? It makes it so much more fun. So much more exciting. I just don't know what else you could ask for as a college football fan than to be playing your biggest rival in week one of the season.
That's right, man. And as a West Virginia fan, I know, like I say, you guys haven't played in a while, but if you're looking at the series, if you're going by history, you could kind of feel good. You guys won the last 3 that you played, and 5 of the last 7. So with that said, man, let's get into it and talk about this actual game, man. Let's talk about that Pitt offense versus the West Virginia defense. Let's start on the West Virginia side. You guys only returned 4 starters. I think from the outside looking in, the biggest concern is that secondary, because not talent, but because it's inexperience. What's that concern for you, Couz?
Yeah, and that's fair, and people from the outside looking in, and that is a fair concern. We actually did bring in 3 grad transfers to play in the secondary, 2 corners and a safety,
Mm-hmm.
and all the 3 of those guys have over 1,000 snaps between them.
Okay.
But to your point, they're not at the Power 5 level. One of them's coming from the FCS level from North Dakota State. One's coming from Colorado State. The other one from James Madison. So, they've not played Power 5 competition, but at least they have played college football at a high level. So, it's better than coming in with 3 true freshmen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, will they have the chemistry because they've not played together very long, other than fall camp, basically? Is there going to be enough chemistry there to get it done? So it's definitely a fair concern, and it's probably one of our biggest concerns as West Virginia fans as well.
That's right, man, because they'll be defending against Kedon Slovis. Kedon Slovis from USC. I mean, we'll talk about JT Daniels on the other side in a minute, but how you feeling about the offense replacing somebody like a Kenny Pickett, man? We know Kenny Pickett put it down last year in the ACC, man.
You can't replace a guy like Kenny Pickett, especially in the first game where, he's a former Heisman finalist. Certainly, put up great numbers. Broke Dan Marino's record, especially in passing in a year, but also just in the depth of, overall his 5 years at Pitt. The one thing that we look at is that, even from the national perspective, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about Kedon Slovis. I think that the talent's there. He has shown it before. In 2020, when they only played 4 or 5 games during the COVID season, he still threw for over 2,000 yards. He's got the talent. Was at the Manning Passing Academy. Actually has Kenny Pickett's quarterback coach that he had from New Jersey, Coach Tony. He's a phenomenal coach. Someone who continues to develop him. Talked about at the Manning Passing Academy, and you got some of the elite quarterbacks that are there, especially when they're down there. He said he looked number 1. The accuracy that he has, I think that'll be number 1 is the accuracy. But on top of that, his arm strength is NFL caliber. And I think he's going to be going to an offense where, you look at USC, that's a team that, each year you weren't sure if Clay Helton was going to get fired. You saw a number of guys that were there that they had talent. He had a first-round draft pick at wide receiver last year, but besides that, you looked at guys that were injured. The offensive line was horrendous at USC during the whole duration, even when JT Daniels was there, and JT Daniels put up good numbers. So you look at it, I'm not concerned about Kedon Slovis. He's going to do what he's supposed to do, and I think he's going to be a tremendous talent this year. You look at the offensive line for Pitt, they're returning everybody, possibly one of the best offensive lines that were in Pitt history for the way that they performed. And you look at, the running game aspect of it. People said, well, they didn't do well with the running game until it was the end of the game when they were able to run out the clock. But I think just in terms of, we really didn't give them a shot to run the ball plenty of times last year. When you had a guy like Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison that are out there, utilize the weapons that are there. And when you're asking the quarterback to drop back 30, 40, 50 times a game and the amount of, results that he was able to have in success, you can't ask for anything more than that. So on our aspect, between the offensive line returning, a freshman All-American, and Gavin Bartholomew returning to tight end, I think you're going to see a guy like Kai Wright this year step up. He's had a tremendous camp this year. He'll be a guy that steps up at tight end. The transfer Carter Johnson, who originally started at TCU, went to Butler Community College, changed from a defensive tackle, lost almost 100 pounds, went to tight end, was a 4-star tackle, goes to tight end, performs well, Power 5 offers, chooses Pitt, has had a phenomenal camp. Frank Signetti Jr. actually just talked about recently this week how he really picked up the playbook quickly. It was almost freakish that he's able to pick up a West Coast style, pro style offense that Signetti he brings. So you have depth at tight end. One of the questions that were coming into this year, how they play this year, will obviously be the determination as well. But then on offense, I think their deepest position, and I people look at it as a weakness because Jordan Addison left, but you look at guys that are returning at wide receiver. You had guys like Jared Wayne, that we call him the pride of Canada, the guy that came down from Canada, and he's been a phenomenal asset for Pitt. Second in receiving and catches last year, receiving yards. And then you bring on guys like Bub Means. Bub Means came from Louisiana Tech. One of his biggest games last year was against Mississippi State, where he had 7 catches, almost 100 yards. A very physical wide receiver, is going to be a great deep threat. And then you look at guys like Jalen Barden returning. Then you have guys like Jaden Bradley. And then the guy is going to be really on the inside, especially the slot, will be Kanate Mumfield, the freshman All-American that transferred in from Akron. Clearly, great state of Georgia, tremendous talent down there. Talk about talent. Pitt's been trying to get in there for years, and they've been doing well the past 3 years, where each of those guys, they bring plenty of talent to the Georgia area, Virginia. A guy like, Rodney Hammond at running back. On the offensive side, the only thing that I think that is a legitimate question is, how does these guys develop with the offense in the first game? It's a brand new offense. You're going to see a lot of similarities within the passing concepts because they're both West Coast offenses. But I think they'll be more balanced in per se towards, it's not going to be 90-10 where we're passing 90% of the time and then you're running 10% of the time. I think you're going to probably see a 70-30, 60-40 type of split where, we're running and passing. And it could be vice versa, depending upon if we're running 22 personnel, 21, 11 personnel. It all depends. And I think that, that's going to be really the only question. Can they really adapt going to this new style offense? And if they can, the talent's there. But can you execute on it?
I think that's where West Virginia benefits by playing Pitt game number 1, because they do have a new offensive coordinator. And you have to adjust to those things. And sometimes, lingo, scheme, concept, even if it's similar, sometimes people just call plays different. You can get kind of confused. So, Couz, I just want you to give me one player on your defense that you're excited about and one player on the Pitt offense that you're kind of concerned about.
The player on the West Virginia defense that I'm excited about the most is probably middle linebacker Lee Koba. The defensive staff, he's our new middle linebacker, Mike linebacker. He's a transfer from JUCO. Started his career out at Syracuse. It didn't work out there, so he went to the JUCO route. Really humbled himself. Realized how bad he wanted to play at the highest level again. Mm-hmm. So he worked hard, got back to a Power 5 school, came to West Virginia. They said from the day he walked in the room, he's been a leader. The guys they said within 30 minutes they knew he was going to be their starting Mike linebacker because the guys just gravitated to him. He's been the quarterback of the defense from day one. They said, he's hungry. He talks trash to tires as they're doing tire drills. He's just that kind of guy. So I'm really excited about him. I think he's going to surprise some people. The player on Pitt's offense that scares me the most, to be honest with you, is Gavin Bartholomew.
Okay.
He's talented. He's got size. I don't know if our safeties and linebackers match up with him. That's yet to be determined. I think they can, but I don't know. We haven't faced anybody like him. Well, since Iowa State last year, probably. So I'll be anxious to see if we can do that. But he kind of scares me. I'm not going to lie.
Well, that's a good concern, like you said, especially with the safeties being, like you say, not that they're good because they got talent, but they just hadn't had a lot of snaps and experience on this particular level,
right,
so to say. But to flip that over, man, we get to talk about the other West Coast USC transplant, JT Daniels, leading that West Virginia offense. I think for me, I've seen him. I think he's good. I think he could be elite. I just wonder about the health right now. Talk about what you're hearing out of camp. Is he healthy? Is he doing good? What's going on with JT Daniels?
Nobody knows. Our coaching staff has been completely silent for the past week. They've not let media in. They've not announced a starting quarterback yet. They've not announced a right tackle yet. They've not put out a depth chart. They've done nothing.
Wow.
From what I understand, from what little bit of media does know, he is healthy, to answer your first question. To our knowledge, best of our knowledge. We do expect he'll be the starter. I think Coach Brown's just, his gamesmanship, I think.
Okay.
He's probably just waiting as long as he can to announce anything. So I do think he'll be healthy. Can he stay healthy is the question. Our offensive line did have some struggles last year, at least the first half of the season. We think those are going to be much improved this year because they've all got 1 year under their belt now together playing. They'll have better chemistry. They'll work together better up front, and they've got an extra year in the weight room. We all know that matters.
That's right.
And they're a year older, more mature. So we think we'll be fine up there. but I think he'll be healthy. We're excited about him. We haven't been this excited about a quarterback, obviously, since Will Greer was here. It's kind of that similar feel. You know, he came in with a lot of hype. We opened his first game as a Mountaineer was against Virginia Tech in 2017. JT Daniels' first game is going to be against Pitt in 2022. So a lot of similarities there. You know, watching film on JT Daniels and listening to what the coaching staff has to say, man, the guy's got it. I think he's got the arm talent, but what has impressed the coaching staff the most is up here. Neil Brown said he might be the smartest quarterback he's ever been around. He picks things up almost immediately. He's very good at reading the defense pre-snap. He's he's a good decision maker. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot, which is what we struggled with last year with Jarrett Doege. Jarrett Doege, he can make some really boneheaded decisions at times at the worst possible moments in games. I don't think JT Daniels is going to do that. But like you said, the key is, can he stay healthy? I think he can. And obviously we hope he can, because it could definitely be the difference in our season.
That's right. You said some things that I can definitely attest to as a Georgia fan. JT Daniels definitely pre-snap read. I don't know if there is maybe CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. I don't know, but that was one of the things that he was better at than Stetson. You know, like kudos to Stetson for leading us to the national championship, and he has his own strengths, but that was JT. JT didn't have the legs of Stetson, but he didn't need them because he could read the defenses so fast and make a decision. Also, something you allude to, like similarities. JT started the year out last year going against another, quarterback that he knew had, familiarity with, in DJ Uiagalelei at Clemson, and he outdoed him in high school and outdoed him in college. So maybe that goes in West Virginia's favor. JJ, the matchup that I am looking forward to, though, is in the trenches. I do think West Virginia's line will be better on offense. They have a lot of experience coming back, but so does the Pitt defensive line. And I think the key is going to come down to, can West Virginia run on that defensive line? How you feeling about that defensive line? And tell me how you feeling, or give me a player on West Virginia's offense outside of JT that you're kind of looking forward to matching up against that Pitt defense.
Yeah, so I think for the most part, the strength of this team, I think, is the defensive line. You got guys like Elijah Cansey, an All-American, Habakkuk Baldonado out of Rome, Italy. He's going to be an NFL defensive end. A guy that I think is really good but doesn't get enough credit for what he does is Desmond Alexander, the defensive end on the other side of Baldonado, a guy that can play on the outside and the inside. I think he's going to be tremendous talent again. Came back for his fifth year when he could have gone to the draft, got drafted last year. And, that goes back to Pat Narduzzi and really the entire staff building a great culture at Pitt, for guys that want to continue to come back. Carter Warren was the same way, the guy on the offensive side, left tackle, where he came back this year. But you look at our defensive line, those two, but then you got a guy that I think is going to break out this year. He's going to get a lot more snaps, is John Morgan. John Morgan, he's out of DeMatha Catholic. I think he's a tremendous player, and he's a pass rush specialist. A guy that just twitchy. He's just, each year, he just continues to put on size, but doesn't lose speed. You'll have him, Dayon Hayes, a younger guy, about a redshirt sophomore. He'll be a tremendous asset this year. Charlie Partridge talked about him, how well camp he's having. I think the one thing that they're working on right now is a little bit of consistency, keeping the consistency of just each play. You're playing the same amount of energy, the consistency what you're looking for, especially with results. On the inside, Elijah Cansey. You got, David Green, Tyler Bentley, Elliott Donald, the nephew of Aaron Donald, Devin Danielson. Just the defensive line is going to be their bread and butter all year. And, again, you look at sacks per year. They're number one in sacks, for the past 5 years, the amount of sacks they've had. It's really hard to pick between Clemson and Pitt right now, between their defensive lines, because the way Pitt looks right now, they're probably going to have 3 or 4 defensive linemen go in this draft because they had so many guys come back. It's going to be a good year for the defensive line, I think.
Okay.
The question is, West Virginia does bring back, a lot of their, obviously most, if not all of their offensive line. I just think that when you look at a Pat Narduzzi defense, it's stopping the run. That's what he's known for. I know people say Syracuse. It's only Syracuse, but Syracuse ran the ball pretty well even against Clemson last year.
Yeah, well, they got a good running back.
Yeah, Syracuse ran for 15 yards against Pitt's defense. You know, the line was fierce, had 5+ sacks in that game. You know, you look at just overall, even through the season, Michigan State couldn't even run for 100 yards. You know, in the bowl game, and Pitt was missing guys on the defensive line. So that's the strength of their defense. Now, when it comes to passing the ball, it depends. If the pass rush can't get there, we'll give them a little bit of extra time. You know, I have confidence in guys like Brandon Hill that's back there. He'll be a draft pick this year. Eric Hallett, really the quarterback of the defense back there. I think he does a tremendous job. You know, MJ Devonshire, Marquez Williams. You look at guys like that. I'm not, AJ Woods. They're veterans. Those are guys able to step in. Look for a guy like Rashad Battle. Where's he from? Georgia. Again, you bring guys in from Georgia, the talent that they have down there, you've got to work their tails off. And I think they're going to do really well. You know, I think you'll have the way Pitt's defense is. They're very high pressure. So you're always, we're known as Blitzburgh for a reason. You got Savasi Dennis playing middle linebacker, where he was all conference last year, first team all conference. Those guys will be the backbone of this team. But the question is, okay, you'll get those games where you'll have a couple plays each game where they have it over the top and it's a big play.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah. Can they minimize that this year? I think with the veteran defense that they have an opportunity to, but they got to prove it. You know, you look at, the perfect example is look at Wake Forest. Wake Forest couldn't run the football in the AC championship game, but then, the first half of the first quarter, Pitt gave up some deep balls. But then for 3.5 quarters, Pitt figured it out. Pitt shuts out Wake Forest for 3.5 quarters. They throw for 100 yards over 3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
Just when they figure it out. So, this is a veteran group. One of the things they always talk about, last year they talked about breaking down for ACC champs. They've achieved that. Now the next step is this team breaks down every single practice right now, national champs. That's the next goal. So, and I think for them at this point, they got to continue to make improvements and continue to play consistently. They can do it, but the question is, will they execute? That's always the question.
Like I said, I think y'all defensive line will be good, like I said, against the run, but that West Virginia line, again, brings back a lot of experience. And I know Couz will be, like I say, JT Daniels, it's going to be hard to pressure him because he gets the ball, like you said, he can make his read so quick. So it's like, he knows where the pressure is coming from. As long as West Virginia's wide receivers can, get a slight bit of separation and catch the ball, that'll be the key to this game. I think both teams have been waiting for this game. I think because Pitt has won a conference championship, that's where West Virginia is striving. They're striving to win the Big 12 championship, but they know to start a season off, they got to be able to beat teams like Pitt. So I'm not saying this is West Virginia's Super Bowl, but I think it's a little bit more oomph maybe for West Virginia than it is for Pitt. But what I want to do is get you guys prediction to the game, but give me like at least one key on what you think, why you picking the way you're picking. And I'll let Couz start, and then JJ, you can follow.
First of all, I think it's going to be an extremely close game. When I first saw this game on the schedule, I thought, man, they're going to be loaded with talent. I don't know if we can match up. I think we can match up in a lot of areas. What scares me about Pitt is that they have more experience as a unit together than our guys do, because we do have so many new guys on the team. I think we got talented guys, but they're new to the team, new to the group. So can they gel enough to win a game like this, game one? Also, it's at Pitt. That worries me. It's at Pittsburgh. If this game was in Morgantown, I would feel differently, but I'll be honest with you, and I know Mountaineer Nation is going to hate my guts, but I'm picking this game with my head and not my heart, and I think that Pitt ends up winning this game by 3 points. That's 32-29 is my score prediction. I think it comes down to, kicking game, maybe a miscue here or there that's going to impact the game. I think coaching is going to play a huge role in this game, which coach can scheme up the best against the other team, because, let's face it, they're going to know each other like the back of their hand because they've been studying each other all offseason. Graham Harrell's going to know Kedon Slovis's tendencies, but on the other hand, Kedon Slovis and some of the Pitt guys probably know, how Graham Harrell's going to call the game, right? So, it's just so this game has so many intriguing storylines, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it, man. It's going to be so fun to watch. That whole USC connection just adds a whole nother wrinkle to this game. And JJ, did you say what player on West Virginia's offense you were worried about the most?
No. So actually on the West Virginia offense, I think a guy who's been consistent. I've watched a lot of West Virginia tape. He had a couple moments, but I think he's just, in my opinion, I think he's been so consistent, and that's Bryce Ford Wheat. I think he's a guy that is just, your steady Eddie, man. You know what you're going to get out of him. He's a talented player, especially on the outside, can move. I think he's shown that he has great route running. It's the same thing on the defense. I think on the defense, who Pitt has keyed on is Stills. Stills is a tremendous player, especially on the inside. You already know in the film room for Pitt, they're talking about him, especially too with them wanting to run the football.
Right.
But that leads me to the really the outcome of this game.
Right.
It's the trenches. I think that, I talk about it with a lot of people between different podcasts, and I think the best teams in the country always have the best offensive line and the best defensive line. It all starts up front. If you can't create pressure or you can't block, you can't do anything. Don't matter how many kind of skilled players you got, you can't do anything. And I look at the trenches, and Pitt returns their entire offensive line. There's a lot of fifth year seniors, one 6-year senior. I look at Pitt's defensive line, and I look at guys like Kalijah Canty coming back, Haba Baldonado. I watched what they did against Tennessee, last year, what they were able to do against, Clemson, the amount of pressure they create against Clemson and their offensive line and their talent that they have. I'm going with Pitt to get this victory. I'm with you in the case of, it's a rivalry game. It's week 1. I think it's going to be closer too. And, personally, I think Pitt definitely has more talent. But it's game 1. It's the first game of the year. It's not like this is like Thanksgiving where we know what type of teams that we have, what kind of players that we have. Truly, I think it's going to be a close game too, and I think there'll be some miscues here and there. If I really had to put a score on it, I'm going 34-31. I think that's where we're at. And the reason why I put it in so many points, and again, I think Pitt's defense is going to be great this year, but there's just so many unknowns in the first game. You just don't know. We might know, Kedon will probably tell the tendencies of certain ways that Grant Harrell likes to call the game. But like you said, he's going to know some of Kedon Slovis' tendencies. But there's a new offensive coordinator at West Virginia. There's a new offensive coordinator at Pitt. One thing I feel comfortable about Cignetti is that he was here in 2009, 2010. Well, what did Pitt do those 2 years? They went from a 7-5 team to a 10-3 team that year. So he knows how to utilize his talent. And in that year when he came in here, he didn't have, Frank Cignetti didn't have a star, quarterback. He really revived Bill Stahl, but what did he have? He had an All-American tight end. He's got an All-American tight end now. Doran Dickerson was then. Gavin Bartholomew's now. He had an All-American wide receiver in Jonathan Baldwin. He's got an All-American wide receiver in Kanate Mumfield, but with more talent on the outside, where he only had really one guy. I feel comfortable with what what Pitt's doing, and I think another thing too is when Pat Narduzzi had a press conference yesterday on Wednesday announcing Kedon Slovis. I look at that as confidence. I think they're very confident, because usually Narduzzi doesn't bring up, doesn't like to give any edges on anything, likes to make sure that, because there was a quarterback competition. Nick Patty's a tremendous backup. And I'll tell you what, I think this is the first time I've ever been a Pitt fan that I can say that I feel good about 2 quarterbacks for Pitt.
Yeah.
If Nick Patty stays in the game against Michigan State in the bowl game, Pitt beats Michigan State. It's just, I think that they're in such a good position. It'll be close, but I got Pitt winning this game in the renewal of the backyard brawl, and I just think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I'll be there. Panther Nation will show up. It's going to be just a heck of an atmosphere. Game day is going to be there.
Yeah.
It can't ask for any more than that.
Yeah, I think it's like a sold out game already. I think I'm with what Couz said about the keys. I think it's Pitt's experience and the home field advantage. Pitt's really good at home. I think West Virginia is going to put up a hell of a fight. I think it's going to be like 27-24, that kind of thing. I think there will be a turnover in the game that's going to decide the game, whether it's, West Virginia losing the ball or Pitt, taking the ball. It could be a fumble, just somebody fumbling, or Pitt picks one off or something like that. I think it's going to be a good game, good atmosphere, but you guys had some great points. So before we get out of here, though, I want y'all to tell people where they can find you. Couz, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you, man.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube at Couz's Corner. I cover, obviously, West Virginia football, but I cover all of college football, any major storylines. I've been doing a lot on conference realignment. I'm also on podcast platforms, Spotify, Amazon, Apple. Find me over there as well. If you want to look me up on Twitter, it's at Couz206. I'm on Instagram at Couz's Corner 206. So come check me out on social media. I look forward to I'll enjoy interacting with everybody and look forward to interacting hopefully with some new folks here from the Fan Attic. And it's been a pleasure to be on with you, Coach. And obviously I always love working with JJ. He knows Pitt football better than anybody I've ever met.
Hey, that's word, man. I agree with that, man. JJ, tell the people where they can find you, dog.
Yeah, so one, Coach, thank you. Fanatic, it's always great being on this show. You do a tremendous job every time. Pitt fans, please subscribe and follow Coach. He's tremendous, goes over plenty of teams, conference realignment, everything. And for Couz, definitely give him a follow, guys, especially leading up to this game. He knows the most about West Virginia football. And when it comes to college football in general, realignment, he's a tremendous person. You can't find any more knowledge. Give him a follow. He's got a YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. There's two great people on this podcast. Lucky to join them. You can find me at JJ_Kitchen40. Thank you to all the Pitt fans that just continue to support. It's always fun talking college football and Pitt football. So just want to thank you guys for being so supportive and being a hell of a fan base, and just looking to continue to give you guys content and just real knowledge of the game. And just thank you, Coach, for allowing me to come on, and thanks, dude. You're the best too. Thank you guys.
Man. Yeah, man, we'll have all their stuff in the description, and of course their stuff will be flashing on the screen as well. Definitely check out Couz. Subscribe to his channel, man. Just like you heard him, he picked Pitt. It's not like he's a Kool-Aid fan. He gives you the facts. He's real about it. He loves his team. JJ knows like everything about Pitt there is. So you definitely want to follow him. JJ will both of these guys will be back on. JJ will be on a lot. We want to start his following because we are going to get JJ into his own podcast, man. Yep. So we want to build his following this season. He'll be on the Fan Addict, and then we're going to push him off to his own podcast, and y'all got to be with him, man. So
absolutely.
I can't wait to start it. The planning's already started. The equipment's already ordered. I can't wait, guys. And I can't wait to have you both on, and just continuing to have that conversation, but to do what the media won't do. Tell the truth.
That's right. Tell the truth. We ain't for no hot takes around here. We just tell it like it is, man. I think a lot of times people are coming to YouTube because it's like ESPN and all those others. They just give a whole bunch of hot takes, man. Like, I just see the game how I see the game, man, and it is what it is, man. So for Couz at Couz's Corner, man, JJ Kitchens, man, this is Coach I, Fan Addict. We out of here. I call my dogs out the pound, let's go eat. Turn on the Fan Addict, let's have a debate. Who really hold down the Southeast from state to state? What team hungry gonna eat everything up off their plate?